Welcome to Open Studio. I'm Yaz Banks, and today I'm joined by Katie Price, founder of Studio Goodwork. In this episode, Katie and I discuss the journey from freelancing to studio ownership, the resilience required to build an independent creative business, and the importance of authentic relationships in the creative industry. This is Open Studio with Katie Price. Welcome to Open Studio. I'm Yaz, and we're joined today by someone who believes that great design doesn't just look good, it does good. Katie Price, founder of Studio Goodwork, a brand design studio built on research, reality, and respect for community and craft. Katie grew up in the South Wales Valleys, graduated twice, including a Masters in Design for Social Change, and spotted a clear gap in social design back home. So rather than wait for someone else to fill it, she carved her own path. She's someone who knows firsthand that learning doesn't happen alone, and potential often shows up quietly before anyone else notices it, and that the barriers holding people back are really about talent. So today we're going to get into all of that and what it really takes to back yourself when the obvious route doesn't quite exist. So I know I've done a nice little intro there for you, but do you want to tell us about kind of your design career from university or wherever, if it started before that to kind of now?
Yeah, that is an intro, and I feel like you painted a lovely picture. The last 5 years or 6 years, so obviously I did the Masters, but I was freelancing whilst doing the Masters, has been rocky. So I've done agency and freelance and in-house and remote context and hybrid context. Like, I feel like whilst I've not done all of it for very long, I've done all of it at some point.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think, my career the last 5 years has always been driven by wanting to do good, and that meant that some employments I would try it and think this isn't filling my purpose and it's not meeting what I want to do. It's been an interesting time, to say the least. And then my last employment was in one of Wales's top PR agencies, and you learn a lot very quickly in a PR agency, that's for certain. So I felt after a rocky period last year, so I was made redundant last year in May, and it was my second redundancy. So I was like, right, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to give myself a go, and I'm going to bet on myself before I bet on somebody else.
Nice.
And that's kind of how Studio Goodwork came to be. It took 5 months of being in the pit. So, oh my God, what am I doing with my life? To then give Studio Goodwork a go. And I think I'm obviously still drawn to doing good and designing for social change, because that's where I've ended up, regardless of how. I've either been made redundant or a job has made me ill and I've left, and I've ended up in the exact same space. So it's clearly a calling, to say the least.
So how long have you been doing Studio Goodwork? How long has it been going for?
So Studio Goodwork is actually quite young. So Studio Goodwork started in September last year.
Nice.
Laying a lot of like the groundwork and stuff, and then booked my first client with it at the start of this year. But before Studio Goodwork, as I mentioned, I freelanced doing my Masters. So I was just Katie Price Designs then, but it was all socially driven work that I was taking on, and it's just got a name now, I suppose. Katie Price is kind of taken, which is why Studio Goodwork is what it is. I think it's interesting when you're one person and you've got like a studio in my bedroom. It's not a big studio, but it's young, but the things that it's driven by have always been in my practice. Like since uni, a lot of design for good, social impact kind of work. Yeah, it's always been there, and Studio Goodwork just gives it a bit more of a name now.
Yeah. Have you noticed, you might not have done kind of subconsciously, but have you noticed maybe that shift in when clients come to you versus you being freelance and having your name out there versus having the word studio in front of it? Have you noticed kind of maybe a shift in client maybe attitudes, or kind of how they approach yourself as a studio as opposed to just labeling as a freelance?
Not really, because I am too honest for my own
Right.
good, I think. So if I'm like, oh, Studio Goodwork, I am a one-woman band,
Yeah.
because I don't want people to think there's an entire team behind me. Um, for no other reason than obviously I can't get back to everything in like a day because
Yeah.
it's just me. And I think I'm also quite proud that it's just me and I'm
Nice.
managing like obviously you may have seen I co-host events alongside and I'm an associate tutor. Like I'm doing this all on my own.
Yeah.
And I'm proud that I'm doing it all on my own. Like
Yeah.
I lean more on like a collective approach these days. So if I think that I get a piece of work in, but I've got a friend, we've got like a bit of a freelance collective going on because we all left the same company.
Yeah.
We all know each other really well, so that we like dip in if we need insights or we need feedback. Like we dip into that group chat and pull another person in. So I build a team in a very different way.
Nice.
Yeah, but I think when I was freelancing and I had Katie Price Designs, it was quite like, oh, well, I know what I'm getting because it's Katie Price and she just, so that's absolutely fine. Whereas with Studio Goodwork, I offer more like research and creative engagement and workshop building sessions and things like that. So I I take quite a lot of pride in the fact that it's just me.
Nice.
But I get more emails from people being like, I'd love a job. Like, oh, you've got a studio. I am, but I'm not a
No,
studio
you've
that
but you're not in
affords
that
this.
position to hire people.
No,
I totally get that. And as I'm a freelancer away from working with Shillington as well, and even I get them emails like, if you got an internship, and I'm like, no, it's just me. I'm stringing on.
it's like such a great confidence boost. It's like, wow, you think I'm functioning at the level of a 30-person team.
Yeah.
Um, which kind of gives me the sense that I'm doing something right if people think there's
100%.
like a machine behind it all. But
100%.
yeah.
100%. And would you say there was anything that kind of stuck out to you throughout this process that really made your creative career click?
Um, so it's quite funny because every time I'm asked this question, especially since Studio Goodwork has like started becoming what it is, everyone's like, Studio Goodwork, why is this a thing? And I, up until February, worked in a coffee shop in Merthyr because I'd lost my job. I've got to keep my car on the road.
Yeah.
So the conversations I would have in the coffee shop are next level. And I remember one day there was a lady that came in and she was talking about the interiors of the shop. It's very nice and it looks great on Instagram. It's one of those coffee shops. And all of the girls are really lovely. It's a proper like community in that
Yeah.
sense. She came in, she's like, oh, I've got this real eye for design and like things like that in coffee shops. What about you? And I was like, oh, funny you say that. I used to be a graphic designer. She's like, how old are you? I was like, I'm 26. She's like, you're still a graphic designer. Your career's not dead. Like, it kind of feels like it is at the minute.
Yeah.
And I'd never met this woman before. She'd never come to the shop before. And she was like, your career is a path made out of stepping stones. And only you decide where you lay that next stone. And every time I think about it, I get goosebumps. It was like she knew on that day
Yeah.
that I was in the pits and she
Yeah.
just phoned in, ordered her coffee, gave me this like colossal piece of life advice and just evaporated into thin air, like sort of staring. And that changed everything. And it sounds
Nice.
so like meta to say, and I am a bit woo woo, so I
No, I love that. I love that.
Um, and I was like, oh, do you know what? She's got a point, and she didn't have any idea, and she still gave me this big piece of life advice. And since
Mhm,
then, I've gone, right, I'm not going to go back into a studio.
mhm,
Clearly, I feel called to be doing my own thing,
mhm.
and the employment stream that I've had in the past kind of leads me back to that anyway. And I think I think it was a conversation I had with Joe Berg, and she was like, friction is redirection or something along those lines.
Yeah,
I was like, right, okay, take this lady's advice,
yeah.
go with it. So it's not from any great insight of designers and people who are experienced in our field, but I think, yeah, for someone who just didn't know me to be like, who cares, give it a go, spice of life a little bit.
I love that.
Like, it's just changed everything. And
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
look at everything. I'm like, yeah, you're right. We live on a floating rock. I can try it if I want. Like, it's fine.
Yeah, definitely. Because there's always something that if it doesn't work out for whatever reason, there's always something else that you can explore and go into. And I think that's such a thing that people need to remember about the creative careers. It isn't just one thing that you can focus on, even though you have them passions and you have that skill set right now, but there's always something that maybe you can expand onto, or like you say, if a job doesn't feel quite right, you can do it yourself, you can make it yourself, or vice versa. If being freelance doesn't feel quite right, you can jump into something else, like, yeah, like online courses, teaching. Like, there's so many avenues that you can make yourself with and do and things like that. And I think that's such a lovely thing. Like, just a stranger popping up and just reminding you of that. And yeah, that's a lovely little anecdote. I'm gonna move on to kind of that reality. Even as a solo studio owner, you're working alone. It is just a one woman band, like you say, and kind of that reality of working alone and how that looks and feels for you. So when you're working by yourself, what does kind of the equivalent of like a good feedback or good crit or something like that actually come from, versus within a studio environment that you've got that experience from?
I've got quite a vocal brother.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Um, I'm sure he wouldn't mind me saying, but like, he comes in and I'm working away. He's like, no, that doesn't work. And I, I used to just roll my eyes and be like,
Mm-hmm.
what do you know? You're not a designer. But I was like, hang on. Like, we're not always designing for
Mm-hmm.
designers. Quite often we're not. So for my brother to come in, who doesn't really care about what I do, and for him to just go, that doesn't work,
Mm-hmm.
is quite insightful.
Mm-hmm.
So whilst I can't just, not necessarily, like if we've signed NDAs or whatever, you can't just share your work with a friend and be like, this
Yeah.
is the work I'm doing. But quite often, if I can, family and friends, like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
especially because they want to see you do well
Yeah.
and you're not making them money. So they will be as honest as possible if it means um, that you get the work done and you get it done
Mm-hmm.
right. So yeah, I turn a lot to like family and friends. My partner's quite big into design, and he's got a good eye as well. So I'll turn to him. I'm quite lucky in that I've got quite creative and opinionated people around. But otherwise, I think we've got to get quite good at critiquing our own work.
Mm-hmm.
We're not always going to have people around us that we can just say like, "What do you think of this color combo?" So a good stomp in the Welsh Valleys, blasting music and my thoughts tends to put me straight.
Nice.
Um, yeah, just time for reflection.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm talking a lot to students about at the minute as well. So I'm an associate lecturer in graphic design.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm overseeing everyone's dissertation proposals at the minute. And I'm constantly asking them why
Yeah.
and picking their thoughts. I'm like, well, I need to be able to do that for myself as
Mm-hmm.
well. So actually practicing a reflective
Mm-hmm.
practice, not just preaching it.
Yeah, and that, yeah, really interesting that chatting to students and things like that helps that, because you do a lot of that through education. You do a lot of kind of critiques, even if it's each other's work or yourself, and there is definitely a shift when you step into the industry, you step into like the working world, that it doesn't come as often, and sometimes it can feel a bit daunting, especially if you step into a studio environment and it's a client giving you feedback, or
Oh my
if
God.
it's another member of the studio team giving you feedback, and you've never worked with them or really have that connection with them, and you think, is it personal, is it a dig on me, and all them thoughts kind of hit people's minds. And I think like it's important just to be like, no, it is the work, and it's how you get better, and it's how, and like you say, really interesting that family and friends, like you're right, we are designing for family and friends, and those that consume it away from this you designing the screen. So it's really nice to kind of to hear that you've got that support, and how that shapes it, because that's what it'll make it a successful design piece, is if it works for the wider audiences, and things like that. How do you take kind of client feedback if, for example, you're working on something, you're thinking, yeah, this is the direction, and then they might come back and be like, oh, I didn't really envision that, because everyone envisions a brief differently. And how do you deal with that kind of feedback and that kind of critique, so to speak?
Yeah. I think very early on in my career, I used to be like quite defensive. I think a lot of young designers are, because they think they've cracked it and they're like,
Yeah,
yeah, this is the best piece of design I'll ever do.
yeah.
And if you should always feel like that about your current project, and everything else feels like it's a development of that. You know, your
Mm-hmm.
latest piece is your
Yeah,
best piece of work.
yeah,
That's how we know we're growing.
yeah,
Um,
definitely.
but I would always be like, well, it's this and it's that, so I don't care. This is the right answer. And you learn quite quickly that when a client is paying and they say they don't like something, that's got to change, whether it is actually really strong design or not.
Mm-hmm.
And it reminds me of a project that I worked on in my previous employment. It was in like my notice period of my redundancy. And I don't know about you, but when I'm leaving a job, that's when my best work comes to the front. Um, and I'd done this great, it was called Forever in Bloom.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it was about this whole memorial event. And I'd done this great system. Every year you can add another flower to the garden. It's designed to grow. It had this great strategy. And then we were having conversations, and it was like, ultimately, it was too forward facing, like too much in the future, but it
Right,
didn't really meet the needs of what was needed then.
right.
And initially, they just needed a bit of a refresh. But I think I've got this ability to see the biggest picture possible out
Mm-hmm.
of the minutiae of everything.
Mm-hmm.
As an overthinker, I'm a dream and a nightmare. Um, And yeah, I could see all of this potential, and ultimately it just wasn't going to work.
Mm,
So it had to be like paid back and revisited. And I think it must have worked in the long run, because I saw the signs everywhere around the valley. So it
nice.
clearly did something. But yeah, it was that thing of getting so excited with this idea. And then it was like, oh, hang on, I'm going to have to reel you in a little bit, because we've gone so far into the future and we just need it for the next 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to be very recognizable as what it
Yeah.
has been.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, so it was a strange one. I thought I'd like cracked it. Went in one day, I was like, it's my best piece of work, it's the last piece of work, mic drop. And then it was like, oh, bit too forward facing. But yeah,
But
I
like you
think,
say, it's all kind of a learning thing.
and like resilience
Mm-hmm.
especially teaches you a lot about resilience,
Mm-hmm.
because you've got to keep going. You know, this client still wants a project and you've got to deliver it. So
Yeah,
whether you like it or not, you've got to suck it up and get on.
definitely. And has that kind of influenced things that you've incorporated into how you work now as a solo studio? Is that vibe, and kind of things that you've built intentionally that you've taken from different spaces you've worked in, and has any of them influenced what you're doing and how you're working now?
Yes. I think clear communication, like
Mm-hmm.
crystal clear communication. I I don't care if I send an email as long as my arm, if it means everything is clear
Yeah.
and clients know what they're getting from me. And I think when you work in a studio, you end up with account managers in and all of these other people, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden that line of communication is wiggly and it's fuzzy
Mm-hmm.
and it gets lost. And I just think if it's just me and I can, like, clarity is kindness.
Mm-hmm.
So if I can be as clear as possible and manage expectations, and essentially it just means they're happier talking to me because I'm going to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an open book. I'm not shy. Like, just tell me how it is and I'll get on better working with people
Yeah.
that way. I got a thick skin. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
bothered if you don't like a colour or a typeface. And ultimately, with Studio Goodwork, I'm working for socially driven causes.
Mm-hmm.
I want people to be involved in that process. Like, you are letting me into your mission or your values. Like, it's not you hiring me and giving me the work. I'm a partner. Like, let's work
Mm-hmm.
together because that's the way best work gets done.
Yeah.
And I've had less back and forth that way. Like, I just think the time you put into communicating things really clearly,
Mm-hmm.
time you save yourself when you're 10 rounds of amends in and you're pulling your hair out because you don't know what to do next. So, yeah, clear communication and
Mm-hmm.
just strong boundaries and expectations. Like, as freelancers, we don't want to be like, oh, you can't have that extra round of amends because it's going to cost a little bit
Mm-hmm.
more. It's out of scope. But equally, if I'm going to say that to one client, I've got to say it to all of them.
Yeah.
And just having those boundaries in place and knowing that that's how my business functions.
Mm-hmm.
That's how Studio Goodwork functions. It doesn't make me a bad person. And ultimately, businesses are charging a lot more. Like, big agencies are charging double my fee. So
Mm-hmm. No, definitely, yeah. And with that, it's kind of the confidence to put them things in place, and know that it's right for you. And if that one person or kind of a person on a team or whoever doesn't quite like that, that maybe it isn't the best alignment for this your studio and your kind of what you stand for, and all of that. And I think that's really important for anyone, whatever stage career, if you're going into a team or if you're doing freelance or any stage. I think it's really important to maintain that confidence, so like you say, you can communicate, you can put your boundaries in place, and it is okay to
yeah,
say, actually, that way of working doesn't really suit me, can we swap it up, and yeah, and chat through it, and make be polite about it, and but definitely, yeah, it's all about taking control, but in a nice, polite, friendly way. So your growth and where you want to, kind of looking ahead into the future, I'm gonna kind of pick on that project, and looking at forward facing and future and things like that. And what does the feeling of growth and learning look like for you, kind of when you're solo, and how do you want to push that forward, into the future, and into how you continue to add it into your practice and grow it and change it and add new things, if you've ever thought about that, especially the kind of work that you do, how does that envision and look for you?
I think I've tried trying something new and that I'm not trying to look too far ahead
Right.
because in my last role, I had this 5-year plan. So I
Mm-hmm.
live in Merthyr. I was going to move to Cardiff with my partner,
Mm-hmm.
and I was going to just work my way up within the company I was in. Redundancy comes and all of that
Mm-hmm.
disappears.
Yeah.
And I sort of lost. a lot of my identity in that
Right,
sense,
okay.
because I was a midway to X company and I was going to do this, and these were my friends because I was around them every day, and I tied myself to every corner of that business basically.
Right.
And when that went, I was like, I don't know who I am anymore. I don't know what I want. So everything now with Studio Goodwork, I don't know how it's going to look,
Mhm.
and embracing that. So long as everything is rooted in design for people, for place, and for purpose, and it's about research and lived experiences and using design respectfully to actually amplify voices that are
Mhm.
already trying to promote positive social change, fine, I'm
Yeah.
happy.
Mhm.
I think by not having those markers of next year I want 10 clients on the
Right.
books
Mhm.
has really freed me up to go, right,
Nice.
I don't know how I'm going to get there, but if an opportunity comes, I can take it because it's not part of the plan anymore.
Mhm.
Like this associate tutor work that I'm doing at the minute, I never expected to go back and been lecturing at the uni that taught me
Nice.
and that also my dissertation, which is a whole spooky experience in itself. But that was never part of the plan
Mm.
till like, you know, mid to late 30s when I've racked up a pretty big whack of life
Mhm.
experience.
Yeah.
But I'm doing it now at 27.
Mhm.
And but it meets my needs for social design, for using design for good. It meets my values and my morals.
Mhm.
Great. I'm on the right path. And
Definitely.
much like with the event series I run with my friend Stacey Oliver. So we co-host an event series called Kindling, and it's about bringing freelancers together,
Nice.
get people on,
Mhm.
and just, it started as a Christmas party because we were redundant and we wanted a Christmas party. So we threw one and just hope people would come.
Nice.
Now it's this community that just comes, lifts people up, learns from each other.
Mhm.
And I've learned so much in the last 6 months in comparison to the last 5 years because I've completely just gone, right, no plan, see what happens.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the sort of person that's like, I need to know what time the flow starts, how long the flow is going to go on for, when it ends. So for me to do that is just a massive learning about myself.
Mhm.
I
Understand.
suppose, like you said, unlearning and growth in that not everything goes to plan quite
Mhm.
often. Most things don't go to plan. And just, I think it comes back to resilience and being
Yeah.
able to adapt and move with things. And I think right now, Studio Goodwork is in a place where I just love talking about it. I don't know what's ahead,
Mhm.
but I just know that what's ahead is the right thing. And
Yeah.
it's a very weird feeling to sort of communicate because I haven't got reams and reams of clients to prove to you that it's going really well. But the connections I'm having, the chats I'm having, it's all going in the right direction.
Mhm.
So it's not just the jobs that show growth, but it's the connections you build along the way
Understand.
and how
Yeah.
you learn to be yourself in the industry.
Mhm.
A Valley's girl for the longest time. I was like, I can't be heard speaking on things like this, my accent, because I've been like ripped for having a
Right.
signature
Okay.
accent. But now I'm like, well, I need to grow Studio Goodwork, and the only person that's going to do that is me. So I'm going to have to get a grip
No.
and use my voice a little bit more. So yeah,
Love that. No, I love that. And I think it's so important, so refreshing to kind of hear that you don't need a huge plan. Like, yeah, you've got your intentions and all of that good stuff. And I feel like that's the most important, just to go with the flow and all of that. And connection, what you mentioned there, that's a huge one within the industry, wherever you are, whether you're down in London, in Wales, up north, Manchester, and Scotland, like wherever you are in the country, connection and kind of networking is a huge thing. Have you felt and found that that's kind of helped you be the creative that you are today, and how have you felt either way, and with connection and networking and that side of things?
yeah, it's definitely shaped a lot of who I am today.
Mm-hmm.
When I was in university, I joined the Cardiff Creative Mornings team
Nice.
as like an event volunteer. And I also run their social media. So from 19, I would say I was like, right, I need to meet people that are going to get me the right opportunities. I want to make sure that my community can help me grow into this and that I feel like an integrated part of a community, not just like stepping in when I need a bit of work,
Mm-hmm.
because that's not how the work comes about. So I started off like just working within Creative Mornings and I met loads of people there. Um, and then as my career has developed, I've made an effort to go to like Design Swansea or the odd craft day and just speak to the makers. Like I'm not a ceramicist. I gave it a go. I ended up with very wonky pots. But I really appreciate their craft and I really appreciate what they do. So I just go and tell them.
Nice.
And I think just those smaller conversations, they're not linked to getting the work, but they are building stronger connections
100%.
and they lead to much bigger things. I'm arranging to meet up with someone that I'd followed on LinkedIn for years through a design agency that did his brand, but he does a lot of placemaking work and I'm a bit of a nerd when it comes to psychogeography and our relationship
Right.
to places. So I emailed him and was like, can we chat? Because I really want to pick your brains. I'm not doing a project on any of this, but I think you're really interesting. So now at the end of the month, I'm going to drive to Abergavenny and I'm
Nice.
going to meet Chris and have a chat.
Nice.
Like those things don't come about unless you sort of put yourself out there and you join those communities.
Yeah.
But LinkedIn is a community, as much as cringe about it. It
Yeah.
is a community. There are people out there. You just need to rifle through all of the crap.
I totally agree there. LinkedIn is, like you say, I've got a love-hate relationship with it. I love it in terms of connections, and you might post something, and even though it might not have them reach or impressions or all that jazz, but someone might message you and you have a chat, a coffee, you meet up, and it might not lead to anything, but you've made a connection and you've made kind of a friend
Yeah,
in that, and I feel like that is something that isn't spoke about enough. A lot of the time people assume that going to networking or making these connections is all business and all like a scary thing to step into, but I feel like it's really important to like, no, you're in the same like realm and you're in the same place together and you're there to make friends, and you come away and you chat to someone on Instagram, or if you get the number, you message and whatever, you keep that friendship going, and they are really really crucial to kind of steadying each other on whatever stage that people are at in their career. Like myself, when I was in university, I made good friends with one of the associate lecturers, and I still chat to them to this day, and then they were like cheerleaders for each other doing what we're doing. And the same in the industry, when I was meeting people as a student like wanting an internship, but actually ended up with a couple of really good friends. And it's like you just don't know where things are going to go, and it's all about getting out there and, like you say, meeting people and being interested and want to kind of be a nerd about different things and be excited, because it's not a bad thing to be a nerd and to be excited about
and it
that.
makes you interesting and stand out to people because you've not. I always think when I meet, especially new creatives joining the industry, they don't want to show too much of themselves. They're trying to draw things out. Like, are you interested in? I can't do small talk. A deep conversation, a creative mornings any day of the week.
Yeah.
The minute you want to talk about the weather, I freeze. So if I can be a bit, it sounds batshit mental, but I want to talk about relationship to people and places and unpick that at 9 o'clock in the morning. But
Yeah,
people will remember me the next time
exactly.
they might stay away from me. They'll remember me, and that's what matters.
Exactly memorable. Yeah, no, I love that. And within that kind of connection and meeting people, has there been anything useful that maybe a more experienced independent designer freelancer who whatever they position themselves as, did for you that you didn't expect, like a piece of advice or reference for work or things like that? Was there anything or anything you can pick on or think of?
Yes. So my line manager from my last role,
Mm-hmm.
Maris Latham, she's an amazing designer. Um, I remember her taking me to one side and just being like, I'm going to be your shield. You just do your work and I will focus on making sure that this is a nice place for you to be. And for a senior designer, and she was the year above me in uni as well, so I knew Maris quite well anyway.
Yeah.
And she's now just a very good friend.
Mm-hmm.
She shows up to all my events. She
Lovely.
doesn't have to. We don't work together anymore. There's no like
Yeah.
pressure being like, oh, I should probably go and support my colleague.
Mm-hmm.
She just showed so much belief in me. And
Mm-hmm.
already coming from, so I'd worked at a corporate law firm that made me very unwell. So I was quite shaken when I joined
Mm-hmm.
the last agency I worked at. She was just like, no, it's fine. She built my confidence up so much. And it was just through sharing her process
Mm-hmm.
and not gatekeeping any of that information. So if I needed a second pair of eyes, it didn't matter what she was doing. I'd be like, can I pick your brains? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Conversation there and then. And it was that thing of my development was really important to somebody else, and acknowledging that we can't develop ourselves and pull the ladder up behind us.
Mm-hmm.
We need to support the next designers joining us. And I mean, Maris is as cool as a cucumber. So I learned how to navigate agency life from Maris, because I went in and I was like flapping over everything. So I'm such an anxious person.
Mm-hmm.
I'd watch Maris and she'd be like, it's fine, we've got this, tapping away. And by the end of it, I became the same sort of person, like
Nice.
really clear communication. I only want to see this project succeed, so let's work together. Yes, I've got time for you. Let's have a chat.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I work a lot now as
Yeah.
well. And I've never told her this, so never get a hold of it. I don't think I'll ever live it down. But she was a massive cheerleader for me. And we were only like a year apart in terms of our progression. But she was never just looking at what she was developing for herself. It was like, well, I've got someone below me.
Mm.
How do I make sure that this is also beneficial to them?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she was great. And
Yeah.
I that's like the one person that I will always remember, like
Yeah.
had so much time for me,
Mm-hmm.
especially learning to go in a PR agency. It's different to corporate. It's different to like remote agency life,
Mm-hmm.
because you're in the thick of it.
Yeah.
So to just have someone back you when you weren't sure how to back yourself was transformative in that sense.
Love
So
that.
yeah.
Love that. Yeah, it's so important to have them cheerleaders, and it worked kind of both ways. Like you have people cheerleading you, and you cheerlead someone. Like that vibe and that I love that. Love that so much, and that like I will sit here and cheerlead and cheer everyone on that I come across, and I think even whatever stage you're at, if you decide to go freelance, if from being a student and whatever, I feel like having those people around you, your other students or tutors that have been around in your life, through education and things like that, I feel like having those people that believe in you so you can believe in yourself is super
Yes.
super crucial. What would you want kind of any and every designer that's thinking about going freelance or independent or solo studio to hear before they decide to take that leap?
It can be very lonely.
Mm-hmm.
So prepare for that loneliness.
Yeah.
So when I first went freelance, that was the thing I didn't prepare for, was how lonely I was going to feel, which is why it didn't last.
Mm-hmm.
I craved connection. I'm such a people person that I couldn't stand sitting in the same room every single day on my own. So make sure you've got those like freelance collectives. Can you buddy up with a marketer and can you tag team on projects? Or can you go and join? I think it's called Billy Nomads. They're like
Right.
co-working group. We don't
Mhm.
have one in Wales, but there's quite a few around. And it's just a group of people that all meet and just get on with their work together.
Yeah.
Like, are there things that you can do like that? Or I've been told that I've got like a free desk space if I want to
Mhm.
use it at my local architect firm. So like,
Nice.
I've got a free desk and they're quite funny guys. So come and work here if you want, or
Yeah.
just find hubs that even if you're not speaking to people,
Mhm.
coffee shops, can you be around people so you don't lose the plot? Um,
Definitely.
yeah, just it comes back to human connection every single time.
I'm a huge advocate for kind of I like working at home and I like being at home, but also, yeah, at least once or twice a week, kind of getting out there. And even if it's an event
Yeah,
or, like you say, a co working space or a hub or a free desk, if a client has that, just use it, utilize it, and sit there and be like, oh, there are other people around in the world that work at the same time as you, and you're not on your own, and it's all good. um, a question that's kind of a little rogue one, but I'm always interested to hear about is you're obviously a woman in the design industry. How are you finding that? Because it's an ever growing kind of conversation that people have, and people disappear or don't get into larger, like higher up positions. Do you notice that, and does that affect how you work and kind of grow and learn and things like that?
yeah, definitely.
Hmm.
So I've got two chronic illnesses,
Right.
and I, for the longest time, was trying to fit into this mold
Hmm.
of how you're expected to work in the creative industry, especially in a PR agency. It is reactive, and I've got hypothyroidism, so I'm very prone to like anxiety, stress in that sense. But I also live with PCOS,
Hmm.
which comes with a whole host of pain and
Yeah.
symptoms that it's not, it's a lot to
Yeah.
talk about. And
Yeah. Yeah.
just like experiencing them, it's a whole lot worse. So I think for me, it's always like, well, if anyone, whether they're male, female, non-binary, doesn't matter. If you come to me
Hmm.
like, I've got an issue, I can't do this today,
Hmm.
absolutely fine, because ultimately you need to be your healthiest version of you
Yeah.
before we can work together, because you're not going
Hmm.
to get out of it what you want, and I'm not going to be of any use to you. I'm just going to be an annoyance. So I think for me, my issues with PCOS, definitely
Hmm.
having to just be like, I can't move today. I'm gonna have to lie in bed because it's too much. Like, I always make sure to show that back to people, because there's gonna come a day where I've got to cancel on a client and I want
Hmm.
them to just be like, that's fine. She can't help it. She's
Yeah.
in your pits. You like, and I think that honesty of the difficulties of being a woman in the design
Hmm.
industry, living with these sometimes monthly cycles, and not having an industry that's built to take that on.
Yeah.
Um, I'm like, well, I'm doing it for myself. So if
Yeah.
I need to switch something up that week, I will. And I'll
Hmm.
do the same for anybody else. But I'll also back other people.
Hmm.
I know that there's an issue. I'm like, well, I'm going to step in because I experienced the same thing.
Yeah.
We need to be vocal about these things.
Hmm.
Also, in the sense that yes, I live with chronic conditions. They can be debilitating, but also I don't know many female designers from South Wales Valleys.
Hmm. Yeah.
And that in itself, I'm like, well, where are all the people? Because women take up such a big chunk of the creative industry. And yet
100%.
I don't think I know anyone
Hmm.
from the South Wales Valleys. I know Welsh women,
Yeah.
but I don't know anyone close to home. I don't know anyone I could like pick up the phone to and be like, hey, shall we just get together and do a bit of a design crit?
Yeah.
I've got to go
Yeah.
to Cardiff for my community of women.
Hmm. Hmm.
And that's like kind of what I'm toying with now.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
see if I can
Yeah.
build something. But
Yeah.
yeah, lots of thoughts on being a woman in the creative industry. Not enough time to discuss,
Definitely
as
not.
you probably know yourself.
It could be a whole episode in itself to kind of discuss and chat about. I'm a huge advocate of chatting about it and getting more conversation about it, and it's an ever growing thing, and I feel like it has been for years, but it's kind of always gets pushed to the side. It's like, oh yeah, people can talk about it on International Women's Day and all these celebrations, but it gets forgotten about, and it's the next problem. It's AI, it's this, that, and the other. And then I'm not saying women are the everything of the industry, but I am saying we have a voice and we have things that we go through a month and may not affect us 1 month, but may do. And it's about them attitudes and to be accepted for that. And I feel like hearing that and people hearing that will be like, oh yeah, that I do that, and it's okay to be like, I can be in control of that, no matter where you work, if it's for yourself or you choosing to go in house
And
somewhere.
no job is worth your help. So as far as I see it, if it's costing you that,
Mm-hmm.
that should be enough
Yeah.
to know to make a different decision.
Definitely. And to end on a little bit of well, to be fair, I could talk about that all day, and we may revisit that at a later date. I will be in touch about that, but but to end on a little fun question, just to throw it in the end. If you could create your feed, so whether that's on Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, wherever you get your creative kind of inspiration from, to show just one thing on repeat, what would it be and why?
So it's a different type of creativity.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't know I'm a big Chelsea Flower Show fan.
Nice.
Anything that's watching people grow flowers and take it from a bed of dirt to like Monty Don's masterpiece of a garden. I could watch time lapses all day. Like watching that creative process of like how they decide where they put things
Mm-hmm.
to build an experience. It's so calming, but also like such a different way of then how I look at design.
Yeah.
Um, and like we're not just designing for now, but we're designing for growth.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that we do. So I'm a big fan of just watching like time lapses of gardens come into bloom.
I love that.
It's very my nan would love it. I don't think any other people that would, but yeah.
I'd quite like that. I've said this to someone else that I've been on a call with. I love a garden centre. I love going to a garden centre and experience the garden. So yeah, to forget all the noise of social media,
Or,
give me plants growing. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely love
it's a little
that.
bee, I think. That's the best. Like can we fly around a little garden? Yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm watching them grow and like I said this on another podcast before. They were these blue primulas, but they look like they'd been drawn in biro.
Mm-hmm.
I've taken
Love
so many photos. They go in a project. Don't ask me what project.
that.
Don't ask me what for.
Manifest it.
But I
Boom.
love them. And they're absolutely gorgeous. So yeah, just looking at
Yeah.
living things.
That's great. That's great. Fab. Well, it's been great to chat, and we've heard a lot of insight that a lot of people will benefit from, and kind of be reassured from kind of heading into the industry, whatever stage they're at. And it's been lovely to chat.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been really nice.
Thank you. Huge thank you again to Katie for today's conversation. From identifying a gap and creating her own opportunity to building a studio grounded in purpose and community, Katie shared valuable insights into the realities of independent creative practice and the impact design can have beyond aesthetics alone. If you'd like to learn more about Katie and Studio Goodwork, you'll find all the relevant links in the episode description. To stay connected with us here at Shillington, head to our website and follow us across social media. And for more conversations with people shaping the creative industry, keep up to date with Open Studio. Thanks for listening.